Hello everyone, we are Group 12. Today, I would like to explain to you something called NOD2, which is useful in innate immunity. First, these are today's contents. I'm going to explain what NOD2 is, its mechanism, and finally, the disease it is associated with. NOD2 is one of the receptors expressed in cells. They are mainly useful for innate immunity. When bacteria enter the cell, they recognize a component of the cell wall called monomer G peptide, which activates innate immunity. Let us now learn the mechanism. Roughly speaking, NOD2 first recognizes the ligand of bacteria that has invaded the cell. After recognizing the ligand, it conveys the invasion of bacteria through signaling pathway. Then, it activates immune cells. Let me explain in detail. First, let's talk about the ligand. Molecules that bind specifically to receptors are called ligands. Ligands and receptors have a so-called key-hole-key relationship. There are many ligands on the surface of microorganisms. Immunity functions when ligands attach to receptors on immune cells. Node receptors are receptors that recognize the products of intracellular degradation of phagocytosis pathogens. Next, we explain signaling pathway. NOD2 has an LR domain and a caspase acceptance domain. NOD2 senses bacterial invasion by recognizing MDP, monomer G peptide, a degradation product derived from many bacterial peptide ligands. The caspase acceptance domain attracts signaling proteins with CAD. When NOD2 recognizes MDP, monomer G peptide, it binds to the CAD domain of a serine threonine kinase called RIP2, which has a CAD. RIP2 activates the TAC1 IKK complex. These kinases activate NF-kappa B. NF-kappa B induces cytokines, adhesion molecules, and proteins that are necessary for inflammation to occur in infected tissues. Finally, we are going to explain related diseases. Crohn's disease and Brown syndrome are diseases associated with NOD2. Although the same NOD2 gene is abnormal in Crohn's disease and Brown syndrome, the location of the genetic abnormality is different in two diseases, with the difference that in Crohn's disease, NOD2 loses function, whereas in Brown syndrome, on the contrary, it is always active. When NOD2 no longer recognizes monomer G peptide, NF-kappa B cannot be activated and immune substances are reduced, resulting in Crohn's disease, an inflammatory bowel disease. Crohn's disease causes chronic inflammation or ulceration of the mucosa of the large and small intestine. When gain-of-function mutations occur in the NOD domain, signaling is activated regardless of the ligand, and inflammation continues to occur. This is Brown syndrome. Brown syndrome is a disease in which granulomas form on the skin, joints, and eyes, much like a disease called sarcoidosis. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.